All right. So yes, we have a few more people have hopped on. So just to repeat, we will be seated for this practice. So this will be a 30-minute guided pranayama and meditation for for the 30 minutes, just find a way that you can sit comfortably. If you need to make any adjustments, go ahead and make your adjustments. We're gonna let people get connected and get settled here. So nice to see so many faces and names and some new people and some regulars. Really lovely. It is Caribbean cold over here as well, so that's always nice. All right. So I think this is probably our group. If anyone else pops on, that's okay. They'll be able to jump in. So to give you an idea of what we're going to do, I like to give a little mental map so you know where we're going to go with the practice this morning. Um, so there's two options, right, that can take place with one of these little 30-minute classes. One option is that we stay lunar the entire time. Lunar meaning a calming practice, right? And that's normally what we do is we stay in the calming realm of techniques for the entire time. The other option, and we do this sometimes, is to start with lunar calming and then go solar, intentionally activating, and then come back to lunar calming. Okay. And I usually stick with just calming, and calming is not always relaxing for everyone. Calming can sometimes be be agitating for some people, especially if we're stuck in activation, then it can happen. And I'm sure everybody here has experienced that when you are go, 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 go. You're so busy, you're so stressed that the moment you have the time to rest, you might get sick or get depressed, right? Like the rest is not restful because we've been so agitated for so long that it's this like drop. Okay, so calming is not always relaxing. When I say calming, I mean the technique is not intending to agitate or activate. But I was reminded on Tuesday at yoga, the class that I try to go to, yoga with Molly, about good stress. And I was like, oh, right. I've been so stressed with bad stress that I forgot about good stress. And good stress does exist, right? It's where we intentionally expand beyond our capacity. So we intentionally stress the system, but we do so safely. And that helps us to widen our window of tolerance. That helps us grow, right? So if we want to do something new and it's exciting and it might be hard, like that's good stress. That's a good thing. Um, an example is that I'm trying to sell my house, sell this property. I want to move on to a new project. That is very stressful. That's good stress, right? That's something I want to do. It's all new, it's growth, it's big, it's scary. It's good stress. And so when we intentionally agitate our system or we intentionally activate, we work with solar, that's that reminder that, like, oh, I can do hard things, right? And I can do hard things with joy, even. Um, and that gets convoluted as we do hard things that we don't want to do, and we lose the scope of feeling like we can do them with any sense of joy. And another thing that a new friend said to me recently, he was talking about creating a big life. He said, I'm creating a big life. I'm not creating an easy life. And that really hit. Um, and I think maybe we can create big lives that feel easy, right? If we do the work, um, to remember that there is good stress and that big doesn't have to be scary or uncomfortable. So we are going to do a little bit of activated breathing because we want to get into that good stress. Okay. So we're going to start with calming, and I'll guide you through each of the three techniques. So we'll do three different breathing techniques. The first one is going to be a calming technique. I'll guide you through them. I'm also going to name them now so you know where we're going. So the first one, we'll do 10 slow, intentional breaths, right? And that's the one where you can count either using your fingers like this, for those who have done this one, or if you have a japa mala and you want to count with the beads, you can do that. But we'll just do 10 slow, intentional breaths, okay? Then we'll do a round of Bastrika. So Bastrika, for those who've done it, is where we take our hands to our rib cage, and it's a little bit faster of fully in, fully out, right? And we do a bit of a fast breathing, really pumping the lungs, pumping the blood, okay, trying to expand the rib cage in all directions. So that's our good stress. And then we'll close with some Brahmari breath. So back into the calming, okay? So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to guide you through it. So you don't have to remember that. That's just so your mind and your body knows what's coming. And see if we can work through all three of these with this very intentional concept of, for every inhale, there's an exhale, right? For every contraction, there is an expansion. So when we're going through a time where things are feeling like, oh God, this is awful and uncomfortable, and I'm so seized up and I'm tense, see if we can remember that there is going to be that, right? There is the exhale, there is the expansion. Okay. And it's really hard when we're stuck in the contraction sometimes to remember that that's coming. And it is coming. So let's go ahead and come into a comfortable seat, sitting up nice and tall. Wherever you're seated, take a moment. If you have to make any adjustments to the physical body, change the position of the legs. Maybe you got to move the hair out of the way or fix the clothes. Any physical thing that's kind of drawing your mental attention. And then, as much as possible, having a nice straight spine, a nice tall spine, obviously still the natural curves of the body and the spine, but start to think about that energy from the root, the base of the spinal column, all the way up to the crown of the head. And just like you're getting any kinks out of a hose or a cable or a cord, just try to lengthen that line of energy. And if it's comfortable, you can close the eyes. If the eyes are not wanting to close, if they're not ready to close, then the eyes can stay open, and we just pick a point. So just some things in front of us just to stare at, one point, single pointed focus. Think about a nice long neck, so making as much space as possible between the bottom of the earlobes and the top of the shoulders. So nice long neck here. Maybe a slight tuck of the chin towards the chest. And let's just start to send the awareness to the breath. So start to watch the inhale. Start to watch your exhale. And just take a moment here and thinking about what I said. Just maybe notice if you're in a season of your life right now, if you're in the contraction or you're in the expansion. If you're in the inhale or the exhale. what kind of life you've been creating so far, what kind of life you're desiring to create for yourself. Is it a big life? And what does that feel like in your body, in your system, when you think about that? So just taking some inventory of our emotions right now, seeing where we're at in our personal journeys, our personal stories. So we'll come into this first breathing technique, just taking 10 full rounds of slow, full, intentional breath. And several ways that you can count this to yourself. I'll guide the first few and then we'll self count. So again, you can either use your fingers and just count along as we move through 10 breaths. Maybe you have a Japamala necklace that you use for counting. Maybe you just tap the fingers on your leg. It doesn't have to be a very set way that you do this, just counting 10 full, slow, intentional breaths. Seeing if we can focus on the expansion and then the contraction. So just being mindful of for every inhale, there is an exhale. So let's start together here. Let's empty the lungs all the way out, all the way down, base of the lungs. Empty, 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 empty. And begin. Inhale through the nose. Nice full inhale. Coming up to the capacity of the lungs and then immediately into the exhale. Out the nose or the mouth, whichever you prefer. Inhale, number two. Inhale through the nose. Slow, full, intentional breath, filling all the way up at the very top, moving straight into the exhale. So exhale, number two, all the way down, out through the nose or the mouth. Very base of the exhale, empty, 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 and straight into number three, filling up all the way as much as you can, feeling that capacity stretch. And then immediately exhale. So no retention of breath, straight into the exhale. Fourth round here. Inhale, fill up. Notice the rise of your shoulders, the expansion of the lungs, the movement of the rib cage, and then immediately into the exhale, empty all the way out. Feel the body soften. Round five, inhale, fill up. Straight into the exhale. Continue on here for the next 5 rounds, counting on your own. So the midway point here. Drawing the air in through the nose, nice and slow. Notice how it feels in your body. And then exhaling out the mouth or the nose calmly, fully. Taking your time here. They can be as long and slow as you like. There's no rush here. So take your time to finish the full 10 rounds. As those of us are finishing, we'll come into recovery breath. So once you finish your 10 rounds, just come into subtle breathing, releasing the counting, releasing any intensity. Just let the breath flow naturally. Let the lungs decide if the breath is more shallow or stays deep. Notice how that was for you. Maybe the mind was jumping, might have been difficult to stay focused on the breath. You might have lost count. The eyes may not have stayed closed. That's okay. Just noticing if there's resistance in the system to slowing down. Probably 98% of people have resistance in their systems to slowing down. It takes a lot of practice. Observe the mind, observe the body. Notice if there's any physical requests to shift or change, to stay comfortable. Go ahead and honor that. And we'll come into Bastrika. So this is our intentionally agitating or activating breath. This is our solar breath. And for those who don't know this one, I'll explain. So, option to take your hands, see if I can show a little bit, to the rib cage. And this is optional. If this is very uncomfortable in your body, you don't have to do this. But this just helps us feel that what we're going for here is as we inhale, with the hands here, you really feel the expansion of your rib cage in all directions. So when we inhale, we want to feel that movement. And then as we exhale, it's a contraction in, right? So expansion and contraction. So you can test that out a few times. And again, if you can do it with the hands here the whole time, you're welcome to. If this is a little bit too uncomfortable, then maybe just test it out a few times to get that sensation. And then the hands can just rest in the lap. And the rhythm of the breath is a little bit faster. So we'll go in and out through the nose. We'll have the pace a little bit faster. So it'll look like this. If that pace is too intense, then you can slow it down for your body. So maybe it's more like this. But this one is in and out through the nose. And you're likely to get a little bit warm as we do this. So as we activate the system, we're going to create some internal heat. and you might get a little bit warm. You might get a little frustrated. It's not uncommon for anger to come up with this breath. It's not uncommon for some emotional release with this breath. Do your best to stick with the breath and just observe what comes up without judgment. Okay. If you need to take a break, take a break. If you need to have a little cry, have a little cry. If you need to laugh about how absurd life is, you can do that. Right. We're just going to do this one. It doesn't last for very long. We'll go for about a minute, maybe a little bit longer. Um, and just see what comes up, right? So remember, good stress, right? Sometimes we're stressing something with an intention of expansion, right? If you take a balloon out of a package and you try to blow the balloon up to its capacity on the first go, it's probably going to pop. But if you take the balloon and you stretch it out a little bit and you move it around and you blow it up halfway and you let it out, it's likely going to be able to expand fully. So we have to do those good stress to get the expansion. Okay. So come back into a comfortable seat, sit up nice and tall. Option to take the hands to the rib cage if that's working for you. If not, they can stay in your lap. If the eyes are able to close, then we close the eyes. If the eyes don't want to close, eyes don't have to close, especially for this one. As we get a little bit agitated, sometimes it's safer in the body to keep the eyes open. So that's totally fine. So let's start here with an exhale. Empty all the way out. Empty, 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 and begin. In and out just through the nose on this one. A little bit faster pace if you can. If you can't, that's okay. Just in and out as much as you can, fully in, fully out. Feel the expansion of the rib cage in all directions. Keep going here. If you feel a little bit tired, see if you can push through that wall. If you need to take a break, that's okay. Take a break and then come back into it. Notice what happens in the body. Notice sensations. Notice emotions if they come up. If there's heat building, just stick with it. You're doing great. We won't go for much longer. See if you can stick with it. I'll guide you out. Keep going here. Best you can. Good stress, right? Expansion and contraction. Let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale all the way out. Empty, 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 empty. Release that practice. Come into neutral breath. Just let the breath flow naturally here. You can release the hands to the thighs if they were at the rib cage and just watch the body, watch the system. Notice how the breath flows now after that intentional expansion. How was that for the body? Notice any physical sensations in the body. Notice any emotions. Anything come up for you? Check in with the mind, observe the thoughts. We'll come back into a lunar practice, a calming practice. Remember, calming doesn't always mean relaxing. It could still feel agitating in your system. The practice itself is lunar. We'll work with Brahmari breath. So honeybee breath. For those who don't know or need a reminder, it's an inhale through the nose. And then we exhale through the nose. We keep the mouth closed and we hum. So as we exhale out the nose, it sounds like this. So a humming sensation in the throat. This will prolong the exhale. The exhale will be quite long. Okay. We'll do 5 rounds of Brahmari breath. So you'll hear my hum as a guide. Go at your own pace. Okay. So if you're faster than I am, if you're slower than I am, 5 rounds. All right. So let's start with an exhale. Sit up nice and tall, empty the lungs. Inhale through the nose to begin. Inhale, fill all the way up. First round. Mm. 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 As you finish your final round, just sit with the vibration. Come back into this place of the observer. Notice your body, any physical sensations. Notice your emotions. What's maybe living in your heart? What's maybe heavy in your body? what you might be excited about or looking forward to, any emotions. And then notice the mind. What thoughts come up for you? What might be looping on repeat? What ideas you might be sitting with? As you're ready, when you're ready, you can gently flutter the eyes open. If you'd like to sit in stillness and silence for a few more moments, you're welcome to do so. When you're ready, you can gently open the eyes and come to take a look around your space. Starting to scan your location for 3 things that catch your eye. Just looking around your physical space, seeing where you are rooted in this moment. Just notice 3 different things. It could be a living creature, a plant, an animal. It might be a piece of art. It could be a keepsake from a loved one. Just noticing 3 things that catch your eye to bring us back into the present moment. With that, we'll go ahead and we'll close the practice. So thank you so much for being here. Just a reminder that we can work with this idea of good stress, that maybe it is possible to have both a big life and a safe life. Maybe I'm working on that. And if you need any follow-up, if anything came up for you, if you have questions about the practice that we did, or if you need to process anything that came to the surface, I'm more than happy to hold that space. So feel free to reach out if anything came up, if you're working through something, if you need some support, please do not hesitate to send me a message. So lovely to have so many new faces here today. Thank you for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, whatever it looks like. And I'll be seeing you all soon, one way or the other. All right. Thank you so much. Love you all. Have a great day.